The top three issues that I think we should discuss are around availability of affordable housing, and then a subsection to affordable housing is ensuring that precarious housing is something that we deal with for students. They're not the only population who deals with precarious housing, but certainly they're a big portion of the population here in College Ward, so I think that's important to talk about. The second one would likely be transit, and with the LRT slated to come here to College Ward in the second phase, we're all really excited about that. So now what we have to do is ensure that we're working on getting people to the LRT or ensuring that our current transit system is sufficient to get people to the college. And then I would say the third one is around community relationships. And what that means is you have this huge college with 20,000 people in the middle of a very neighborhood kind of ward. And we need to ensure that the relationship between students and people who live here is a good one and is maintained well. And in fact, the counselor has a really big role to play in that, ensuring that town halls are convened, that there are ways to communicate with neighbors and with students that encourage collegiality, etc. So those are the three that I would say I've heard from college students, as well as from residents who live in College Ward. I don't know if you've been able to check out my website yet or any of my social media, but if you have, you'll see that we've launched a youth engagement strategy. And I think that that will be particularly interesting to students here at Algonquin College because it affects people ages 15 to 25. And what I intend to do is have a College Ward Youth Advisory Council, and that will include people whose voices are often not paid attention to and who don't have a voice in the issues that are really important to them. So this Youth Advisory Council will meet frequently to advise me on really the big issues like housing, like transportation, where people are actively using these services so that I can get the user's experience and they can give us feedback on what's going on. Also, when I'm elected to City Council, I think it'll be really important for me to be a voice for the youth or the young people in Ottawa, including students, to have their voice on committees. So when we're choosing our committees and the people who come from the public to be on those committees, we are looking for experts, right? And often people say, well, let's get the subject matter experts on transportation. Let's get the subject matter experts on infrastructure, for example, which I know a lot of people don't find very sexy, but it is really important. Our roads and how we use them and our sidewalks, this is all really important. So what I would like to see, though, is to have the voices of users, people who use those services on those committees, which includes young people very, very often. And then the third thing that I really want to talk about, which is not exactly what we've discussed in the top three issues, but it's getting youth engaged with paid employment. Paid employment is really important. We see a lot of unpaid internship opportunities, but I'd really like to see young people getting paid employment for their important contributions. And so having more co-op opportunities, more really meaningful mentorship opportunities and internship opportunities with the city and other partners that we have. So you can see that on my platform. And on top of that, I also talk a lot about transit. I mean, transit is key, right? And so how do we get people from point A to point B quickly, well? Is the service running on time? Does somebody have to make a change of a bus at this particular place? And how are we going to ensure that the schedules match up so that we encourage people to use transit more often? And then lastly, when it comes to housing, I mean, overall, affordable housing is really a big issue in the city of Ottawa, not just in College Ward. And so that is something that I would be working on as soon as I get elected, with other councillors who also have that as one of their top priorities. I am not satisfied that students are aware of the importance of voting in this election. I think that students feel that they're transient in this ward, right? If they live here, they're here for a couple of years and they're going to leave, and what does it really matter, right? But I want to get every single student out to vote because it matters tremendously. Your voices are really important. You are living in this ward. You are buying groceries in this ward. You are using the streets. You are using the multi-use paths. You are using all of the city services, right? And with the rent that you pay, your landlords are paying the city with their taxes. And so a lot of people feel if they're renting in an apartment that in fact their voices aren't as important because they're just paying rent. But in fact, rent is important to the landlord who then pays, the city taxes. And so everybody's voice is important. So please, please, my big plea to everyone, not just students, but anyone who says, I haven't voted in a municipal election, why does it matter? It matters because it's your quality of life. And it matters because in any democratic society, we need the voices of the people present. So please get out and vote.